Hey, Bacho here. Today we're reviewing one battle after another. Paul Thomas Anderson's latest film. It's incredible. It stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Benicio del Toro, and a woman called Chase Infinity, which is a rather fitting name given what the experience of watching this film is like. An infinite chase. I have mentioned this before on the channel, but Paul Thomas Anderson is probably my number one favourite director of all time. I know it's that fucking Buzz Lightyear meme where I think I'm special and I see like all these other people who also have PTA as their favourite director of all time, but who cares? He's still individually special to me. And the fact that he resonates with so many people only kind of reinforces the fact that he is a very talented, soulful filmmaker.
Are you often consumed by envy?
No, about what?
Are you often consumed by envy?
I don't really want to waste any time, just want to get into it. I really want to talk about this film. This film is incredible. It is one of the best films I've seen this year. It's one of the best films I've seen of the 2020s so far. It excels in every objective department of filmmaking, and each of these departments coalesce with each other perfectly. It's not just, soulless technical prowess. It's all being used in service of something greater. This has been said about a lot of films, like maybe The Wolf of Wall Street, oddly enough. This is very different to The Wolf of Wall Street, but still. And that is, this film is kind of paced like a roller coaster, or its pacing is insane. It never puts its foot off the throttle. But that won't really communicate to the people who haven't seen this film how unique the pacing of this film is. I've not really seen anything quite like it. It's one giant scene that flows elegantly. I don't mean that literally, it's multiple scenes, but it feels like one scene. The editing, the splicing together of the clips is so purposeful that it feels like this is simply the natural order of things. There is no other way that this film could have been assembled. There is no other way that this film could be presented to you. It's destiny in how this film comes together, almost. And it's not that it's always fast-paced either, because it has some slow moments that are perfectly intermixed in there without any of the momentum diminishing. There's no scene in this which is boring. It's all just so engrossing and almost hypnotic. It's an incredible film in almost every possible way, and I fully understand why people are dubbing this a masterpiece. Bear in mind when I say this that I haven't seen Milk or Mystic River, but Sean Penn gives the performance of his career in this film. He should just be given the Oscar now. He's playing a character that's very over the top, almost a work of satire you could argue, but even though it's over the top, it's not three-dimensional. And I say that because I can so easily imagine any other filmmaker trying to depict this character in this way and just it coming over like such a trite, straw man stereotype. Paul Thomas Anderson manages to paint him larger than life and cartoonish, yet not two-dimensional. Leonardo DiCaprio is also very good in this. He's playing a character that is somewhat similar to Rick Dalton, at least in some of the comedic scenes. It's very similar to the experience I had when watching Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
You know, I don't remember that part. All right, let's just not nitpick over the passwords.
There's humour in this, which is actually very funny. Still, however, Sean Penn definitely steals the show. Leo does a really good job, but he's not incredible, I don't think. The musical score of this film is composed by Johnny Greenwood of Radiohead, and what he creates here, much like the editing of this film, perfectly coalesces with the scenes on display. In fact, you can't tell if the editing is guiding the music or the music is guiding the editing, but they're working so inseparably. There's not a second of music that doesn't entice you. There's not a second of music that is ill-fitting given the scene. This is a very intense, hyperbolic film, definitely partially satirical, but it is also quite menacing in how it depicts the American military and like what a force they are. They're a very imposing force. This film is basically chronicling this cyclical pattern of warfare between these two factions, one being the Department of the American military, which is in charge of immigration and like deporting illegal immigrants, rounding them up and whatnot, the other being the radical revolutionaries who are fighting the American government. It's more so an experience or a ride than a basic narrative, but it still gets so many different points across about the characters and the themes of the film. I love how it is completely different to anything that Paul Thomas Anderson has made before. It is expressly about modern times in the same manner as a South Park episode, just no restraint. I am going to go on to talk about some issues that I have with the film, but I just needed to emphasize how well made this film is. It's highly unlikely that we're going to get a film this year that is as well made as One Battle After Another. It is insanely good. Is arguably the best director alive today, at the top of his game, and everyone should go see this. Everyone. I think it deserves to sweep the Oscars. I don't care about any other films that are coming out. Not really, but you know. It's quite something, at least in numerous objective departments. And that kind of brings me to my first partial criticism I have with this film, and that is that I didn't connect with the characters as strongly as I have with previous characters from other Paul Thomas Anderson films. Paul Thomas Anderson is my favourite director because he is the perfect blend of technical prowess and emotional significance, emotional authenticity. It's not just, oh, this is such a well-made film, oh, the filmmaking is so objectively perfect. It's that I deeply resonate with the stories that he tells. So I had very high expectations going into this film. I wanted to deeply connect with it to the extent that it'd be one of my favourite films of all time. And I know that's kind of ridiculous, like ridiculously high expectations, but I don't care. It's Paul Thomas Anderson.
I sometimes cry a lot. For no reason.
Now, firstly, this could all be fixed on a rewatch. I've only seen it once, and maybe on the second time I actually just fall in love with these characters somehow, or I appreciate them in a different way, because I'm not expecting like the master, like Joaquin Phoenix in that film, or Adam Sandler in Punch Drunk Love, where it's like deeply tender characters. This film is definitely a partial satire, like I mentioned before, and when a film kind of goes in that route, it does become less about sentimentality and more about making a point, making like a comedic, witty, intellectual point. It's supposed to be intellectually stimulating, and maybe that's okay, maybe that's what this film is supposed to be about. It's not supposed to be like a heartfelt film in the same way like Magnolia is, but I would argue against that because I do think that even though this film wants to be like a ridiculous comedy in certain areas, like a ridiculous, bombastic, scary, intimidating action fucking hell ride, it also does attempt to have this emotional core, which I don't quite think it achieves, at least to the degrees that it wants.
Say it, baby.
Love you, Bob.
Love you too.
So this film is all crazy action, it's about this insane war, but at the centre, what kind of brings it all together is it's kind of this weird family drama about this girl, this daughter of a revolutionary who has two dads essentially, and one dad is like a good example of a father and the other is kind of an evil example. It's way more complicated than that. I've kind of boiled it down. Basically, you have Sean Penn and Leonardo DiCaprio, and you can kind of compare them, how they behave as father figures to Chase Infinity's character, who's the daughter. I like this narrative of Sean Penn sacrificing his daughter in favour of this horrible radical ideology that he's adopted. And then in contrast, you kind of see that Leonardo DiCaprio prioritises the love for his daughter over his revolutionary ways. It's like love has to come before ideology. It's a really nice message. Chase Infinity's mother, who you see at the start of the film, is a very radical person, and she, you see, does prioritise ideology and like the revolution over family life, even though you kind of understand why. It's very interesting how Sean Penn and the mother character are drawn to each other and sexually attracted to each other because they both have that radical streak within them. It's very kind of clever. I like this idea of the extreme left and the extreme right having kind of this yin and yang connection. It's really cool. And then birthing perhaps the optimistic future in the form of the daughter, who is a lot less radical, you see at the end of the film, because she kind of opts to do peaceful protests, you could say. That's one interpretation. So there's lots of things like that I appreciate about this film's characters. But ultimately, whilst I was watching, I didn't really feel that pull towards any of them, namely Leonardo DiCaprio and his daughter. I don't really think that as an audience member you could feel the love between them on any like visceral level. You didn't care about them as much as the film sort of needed you to make like the end sequence or a lot of like the second half of the film emotionally intense. And that was one of my major problems with this film. I was waiting to fall in love with the movie and I couldn't because there was that block. Even though I loved so many aspects about it, I still need to be immersed on that fundamental level, that character level. I don't think Chase Infinity was playing a particularly interesting character either. It was more so the situation she found herself in, like the world around her and all of the fucked up things that were happening. I kind of found her performance overall to be quite serviceable, honestly. I know it's like a breakout performance, it's her first role, but I just wasn't that impressed. I didn't like resonate with her character. For as great as I think the satirical elements of this film are, I do think it's kind of at war with the more authentic aspects. Because again, the more satirical you go, the less sincere other elements will be. I do think there have been films that have managed to strike that balance, but for me, One Battle After Another is not one of them. I'm still getting this fucking thing on Blu-ray, by the way, and I'm rewatching it like a bunch of times because it's fucking awesome. Maybe I will love it on the second watch. And this film is also almost 3 hours long, and it's trying to be this epic fable, which in many ways it definitely is, but with an epic fable you need that emotional core once again, that sense of grandiose profundity, that sense of triumph on behalf of the protagonists. And again, I felt like I was more so watching a film where I'm supposed to observe these characters as like satirical ideas and concepts, which again is a fine thing to do, but this film has multiple aims and it doesn't succeed at each and every one of them. And that's one of the things that's causing me to not regard this film as a masterpiece. Kind of a similar thing happened with the film Decision to Leave from a couple of years ago. I thought that like on a technical level, almost every aspect of filmmaking, it was just marvelous. It was one of the best films I've seen in years, but I just didn't relate to the main characters as much as I think it wanted me to. And I'm like, okay, this just can't be one of my favourite films. I don't know why. And I think I put After Sun on as my number one film that year instead, because even though it was like much simpler in like execution and stuff and filmmaking, it just had that soul, that amazing heart.
If you can't answer what time is it, I cannot give you the rendezvous point. This is a key tenet of the rebellion. I'm surprised you can't name.
Forgetting all that for a moment, I really need to talk about this. Like, this is a miracle what this film managed to do. So basically, at some point in this film, spoilers, it's revealed that there's kind of this Illuminati, elite society, elite kind of cult group of white supremacist rich dudes who kind of control things and order like military heads about, and it's very Eyes Wide Shutian and all that. It's like just completely just scathing American politicians, and scenes that were depicting those elites were Kubrickian almost in how ominous and intense they were, yet also quite humorous. It was creepy but also funny, but not in this haha look, it's American politicians, am I right, high five. And for a film in the modern era to make a socio-political comment like that in this very kind of over-the-top satirical way, this almost cartoonish way, and it not come over as trite or mean-spirited or kind of just unoriginal or annoying or condescending, is just it's miraculous. I just imagine if the writers of The Boys had done this, it would have been a fucking catastrophe. I'm the type of person where if I hear someone say, oh, America's a white supremacist country or Trump's a fascist, I'll just roll my fucking eyes and go, oh, please, just shut up. And even I fucking thought these scenes were just amusing and interesting to watch. The way it's done is so specific and personal to Paul Thomas Anderson's imagination that it doesn't come over as pandering. It's insane. I swear one of those scenes was shot to kind of echo the interview shot from The Shining. I swear it. It's the way the dialogue is written, it's the way the dialogue is delivered that makes it captivating instead of just, eye roll, you know. First good woke film ever?
God damn it! Viva la revolution!
Now this all brings me to the final section of the video, which is regarding the political commentary of the film and kind of what it might be trying to say or the implications you could perceive from the film, I suppose. It is very scathing of the American government, in particular the American government's approach to anti-immigration. It's exaggerated, and it's about this insane war between these two factions, and both factions are presented as radical. The revolutionaries do fucked up things like they murder people, they blow up banks, but fundamentally they're still portrayed as the protagonists, the underdogs. It's almost like Andor, where yes, there's a lot of fucked up rebels in the resistance, but still it's all necessary given who they're dealing with, which is the American government. The American government, at least the immigration department in this film, is depicted to be this utterly fascist regime, essentially. It's extremely forceful, it's all predicated on racism, it all stems from white supremacy, and that is quite a loaded statement. Even though it is all satirical, we are supposed to connect it with our real world, or at least the real America. And this whole thing leads me to be very conflicted with regards to this film, because I'm not sure how justified it is in depicting the American government in such a damning light. The thing is, I'm not versed in American politics enough to know how justified this commentary is, like maybe it is this bad or nearly as bad as this. And also, I've said this about 100 times in this video, the film is a satire, it's not meant to be taken literally. I have seen certain people who are in love with this film who are taking it a bit too literally, almost like it's a call to action. I'm like, okay, chill out. It's like, how do we continue? What does it teach us about continuing the revolution? I'm like, I don't know if you've grasped the entire point of the film. It's got to be very torn, because art has to be able to criticise the government in any way, shape or form it wants. But usually the art about politics that I like best are ones where they don't kind of lean towards one particular ideology or viewpoint. And there might be parts of this film that are saying, yeah, violent revolutions are justified, which I don't really agree with, at least in the context of the American setting. The thing is, Paul Thomas Anderson actually adapted this from a book, and in the book it's obviously not set in contemporary America, it's set in a different era, I think. But the point being, he simply translated that idea of fascists versus radical revolutionaries and put it into an American context, a modern American context. So for the story and the themes to work, you could say he's had to kind of amp up how evil the American government are. I mean, to be fair, the Antifa stand-in in this film are kind of amped up as well. They're way more violent than any kind of radical leftist group in real life, at least in America. I've got quite a few American followers on Instagram, and I did make a post asking, okay, is this film supposed to be read as a satire, or is this genuinely like a depiction of how bad it is over there? And some people said, yeah, it is this bad. Some people said that there are riots going on every other day where they live. But ultimately, the reason why this whole thing makes me a little conflicted towards the quality of this film is because I just think art loses its purity when it starts to lean towards one side of the political aisle. And maybe the film is doing that, or maybe it's not. Maybe it's just exaggerating a true sentiment from reality. The thing is, regardless of where you lie politically, you can't deny how incredible this film is in so many aspects. It's like I saw a Critical Drinkers video. I didn't watch it, I just saw the title and it was like, I don't get what the fuss is about. It's like, bro, I don't want to make any broad claims about you, but like, I know you sort of pander to the anti-woke stuff, which is, you know, associated with, you know, right-wingers do like that. I'm not saying it's like inherently you're a right-winger or like you're a fucking Nazi if you like hate woke stuff, because woke stuff is, the criticism for that is warranted. But like, bro, put films before politics. You cannot deny how like impressive this film is.
And the question is, what time is it?
Things about this film though, in a vacuum, if you say like, okay, it's set in an alternative version of America, it's a masterpiece once again. Because it's not like during your time watching the film, the heavy-handedness of the commentary makes it less enjoyable. It's all just fun and gripping and sort of trippy and mesmerising, where all these old men keep going, "Hail St. Nicholas" or something. It's really weird. It would be good to hear from Americans about all this, so let me know in the comments, like, is this film just truthful? Is it justified? Or is it a bit kind of, whoa? Like, it's incredible and it's funny and the satire is really cool, but it's also like, fuck, it's a little bit extreme there, but fair enough. Genuinely, I'm not trying to be divisive or snarky, or like, I'm not trying to be obtuse, I'm not trying to rage bait anyone. I was just somewhat perturbed at how seemingly black and white this film depicts certain issues. And again, if the argument is, oh, well, it's not black and white because the Antifa lot are also depicted to be kind of morally grey and deeply flawed, but still, overall, the American government are the antagonists of this film, and the revolutionaries are depicted more so as the flawed protagonists. Saying that, however, it's kind of hard to picture a film where it's like, oh yeah, the government who have all the power, they're also the underdogs in their own way. It's a weird one. I don't know. I'm not smart enough to figure all this out. Paul Thomas Anderson's the fucking GOAT.
And remember to fucking subscribe.
Thanks to the patrons. Thank you, Matt Delaney. Thank you, DF. Thank you, Mason Lydon.
You having a wank? You having a wank? You having a wank?
The throat.
You having a wank? You having a wank?
You disgusting fat
You
fuck.
having a wank? You
Right
having a
by
wank?
the throat.
You having a wank?
You
having a wank?
disgusting fat fuck.
You having a wank?